In today's episode, we are creating some fun and easy to do crafts. If you love gingerbread decor, then I think you're going to love today's projects. I hope you enjoy. We're going to be using one of Dollar Tree's wooden craft kits. I'm going to use all of the pieces in this except for that glittery green tree. Using an acrylic paint in the color Cinnamon, which is absolutely perfect for this project because it only takes one coat, and once you're finished, they look like little gingerbread cookies. I will be using the stand that came with the kit, so I made sure to paint both front and back of each of these pieces. Once you've allowed time enough for the paint to dry, now it is time to decorate them. I'm using a white paint marker, and you can find that at any craft store. I am going to go around the outline and the details on the present as well as the candy cane. They have like little engravings on that, so you can use that as a guide to paint it. And then for the trees as well as the house, I'm going to go around and just create the outline as you see me doing here. This is such a simple craft to create, and you can place these little pieces on there any which way you like and kind of move it around to create different designs. But it was so easy, and it looks like the cutest gingerbread display. For this project, we're going to start off with one of Dollar Tree's wooden Gingerbread Man signs. And I'm going to flip that over on the back side, put a piece of painter's tape down so that I'll be able to fill that hole in the front with some wood putty. Once that sets up, I'll just go over that with some sandpaper to make it nice and smooth. Now I'm going to be using Folk Arts paint in the color Rusted Pipe. This is a new paint that I bought, and I was really excited to try it out. I wish I had painted him with the cinnamon color instead, because this paint leaves black streaks all throughout it. I guess that's why it's called Rusted Pipe, but he still turns out kind of cute. It only takes one coat, and then once that dries, I'm going to go over the bow tie as well as the raised portions on each of the arms and legs with a Christmas red acrylic paint, and then paint the buttons black. Then I'm going to use a pencil to draw out the outline of his face, and then I'm going to fill that in with a Sharpie marker, just the outline itself, because I'm going to fill in the eyes with a black acrylic paint. And then his nose, I was going to use that pink color, but then I decided after I painted it to add a little bit more red to it to kind of darken it up and make it match the bow tie a little bit more. Then using the Sharpie, we can give him some eyelashes, some eyebrows, just a few little details under the eyes, and then outline the nose. Once all of that dries, I'm going to take my white paint pen to create highlights for the eyes, the nose, and then some details on the red painted parts. Using a wood round that measures about 11 3/4 of an inch, and sometimes if you're lucky you can find these at Dollar Tree, I'm going to measure from the left and make a mark at 3.5 inches and 8 1/4 of an inch and make a line. I'm going to place some painter's tape on each of those markings so that I can paint the center with a white acrylic paint. This will only take one coat, and I did make sure that it was dry before I removed my painter's tape. Once I have that removed, we're going to add a layer of Mod Podge over the entire top part of the sign, including the painted white part. Let that dry. We're going to use some scrapbook paper from Hobby Lobby in this beautiful candy cane design. After I set the wood round down on my heating mat, I'm going to line up the scrapbook paper right there where the painted white line is. Add a piece of parchment paper so that I'll be able to glide my iron over top of the scrapbook paper and adhere it to the wood round. Then I'm going to cut that excess scrapbook paper off and use the straight line on the opposite side to line up with the white painted line on the other side, and we're going to do the exact same thing. Once it cools down, I'm going to set this on a cutting board and use a utility knife to trim the excess paper off. You could use sandpaper, but because it's pretty thick, I found that the utility knife works really well. Now it's time to attach our gingerbread man to our wood round, and because he's going to be hanging a little bit off of the wood round, I used a pencil to make some marks so I would know exactly where to place my hot glue. I made a few decals with my Cricut, and I know not everybody has a Cricut, so I do have this as a free printable on my website. The link to my website's in the description box below. All you have to do is go to free printables. It's a PDF. You can print it at home and trace it onto your project. If you do have a Cricut, for gingerbread and Christmas, I use the font Banana Pumpkin. And for the kisses and wishes, I use the font BFC Clean Kitchen. I decided to go ahead and put a twine hanger on the back reinforced with some ribbon. I'm going to add some greenery from Walmart to the top, and I did bend that so that it would form the shape of the round top. Hot glued that down, and then I'm going to make a simple bow using some red ribbon, and I believe this came from Walmart. I'm going to hold that together using a piece of twine and double knotting it in the back. I will dovetail each of the ends of the bow, and then I'm going to hot glue that right to the center at the top on the greenery. Then I decided to take a berry and pull the stem off and hot glue that right in the middle, and this is how it turned out. For this project, we're using a round mini charcuterie board, and you can find this at Hobby Lobby for just a couple of dollars. I thought we could turn this into a sweet gingerbread girl. I'm going to use a pencil to draw the outline, and then I am using a blue oil-based Sharpie marker to give her some blue eyes. And then I'm going to take a black oil-based Sharpie to fill in the outline at the top as well as the black part of the eyes. Now, in between each of these, I do use my hairdryer to speed up the drying process so I can move to the next step. Then I'm going to take a regular Sharpie to put the outline at the bottom of the eyes, give some detail underneath the eyes, as well as draw the mouth. I decided to give her a little heart on her mouth, give her some eyelashes, and then I'm going to use some red paint to paint the nose as well as the heart. Then I'll take my fine tip Sharpie to go around the outline of the nose as well as the eyebrows, and use my white paint pen to fill in some highlights for the eyes, the nose, the little heart, as well as the icing around her face. Once all of that is dry, I'm going to take this really beautiful ribbon and tie it around the handle and create a very simple bow. I'm going to dovetail each of the ends of the bow, and you could leave it just like this, but then I decided to give her some cheeks, so I mixed in a little bit of red and pink paint together because I wanted to have a variation of color from the nose and the little heart. And then I'm going to use a Dollar Tree sponge dauber to add that on. Once it dries, I'm going to highlight it with my white paint pen. We're starting off with a disposable cup and some Mod Podge. Pour a nice little amount in there. I poured about this much. Then we're going to take an acrylic paint in the color of bark brown or any kind of dark brown or something that sort of looks like chocolate. I'm going to take a craft stick and mix that up really well. You kind of want it to look like a chocolate sauce. We're going to take a white mug. This one came from Dollar Tree. Using that craft stick, we're going to spread some of that up to the rim of the mug to make it look like the chocolate sauce or chocolate syrup is running over. There are two different ways that I tried this. I tried it this way where you kind of start at the bottom and spread it up to the top. And then the second method that I used was to put a nice little amount on the end of the craft stick and just run it right there at the rim and kind of set your mug down so that gravity will make it run on its own. And that looks a lot better than the first method. You'll want to do this all the way around your mug, so it's going to look sort of like this. I'm going to set mine on some wax paper because you want to let that dry for several hours. Once that was dry, I did notice that some of it ran down, like maybe the Mod Podge was a little thick and the color kind of faded in certain areas. So I just took some more Mod Podge and paint mixture to brush in some of those areas, or you could also take your craft stick and kind of blend it in to add that color, but you definitely want to let that Mod Podge set up for several more hours. While that's setting up, we're going to take one of the wooden houses out of one of those DIY craft kits from Dollar Tree. I'm going to paint both sides of these with an acrylic paint in the color Cinnamon. Once that dries, I'm going to take my white paint pen to create the outlines and just give this gingerbread house some details, and I will do that on both sides. Using a piece of foam board, I traced out the lid of my coffee mug before I put the Mod Podge chocolate sauce on there, and then I cut it down slightly smaller, just enough to fit down in the mug, but leave some space at the very top. We're going to take some lightweight spackling. My husband had this in the garage, so don't tell him I used some of it. We're going to use a disposable glove and a Ziploc bag. I don't have any piping bags, so I'm just going to use a regular Ziploc bag. Put enough of that spackling in there to be able to fill up the top of your mug, and because it doesn't always dry completely white, I did add in some white acrylic paint and mix that really well. And this is why we wore that glove, because it's going to get all over your hands. Once I seal that up, I'm going to push all of the spackling to one corner and cut a tiny hole right there at the tip, and then we can fill in our mug to make it look like faux whipped cream. Now I did go a little bit above the mug to give it a little bit of height. Then we can take our gingerbread house and set that down, and the lightweight spackling will hold it once it dries. Now I could not find any of the miniature wood gingerbread men from Dollar Tree, so I'm going to be using these from Hobby Lobby, and I'm going to add two, so it's looking like this so far. Then we're going to use a peppermint ornament from Hobby Lobby, and I just turned that upside down so the ornament piece wasn't showing. And we're going to use sprinkles. I recommend you use fake sprinkles. You can find those at Amazon, and I'll have some listed in my Amazon store. I didn't have any, so I'm using real sprinkles, but if you do that, the food coloring will bleed out onto your spackling, and you're going to have to touch that up with some paint later on. So I added that all throughout the top. It had a few miniature candy canes and snowflakes. Then I used the rest of that spackling to go all the way around the rim to create a design, and I had the most fun making this faux hot chocolate. If you guys want to see some more faux food projects, let me know in the comment section down below, and if so, what would you like to see? I added in some red berries with stems, and I believe these came from Dollar Tree, just for some pops of red in the back, and this is how it turned out. At Dollar Tree, I found these ceramic tiles. They come in a pack of 2. They had round and square. I thought this would be perfect to go with our previous project. I'm using these cold transfer stickers from Hobby Lobby, but Dollar Tree does carry some really cute Christmas stickers. These are very much like a decal. You just peel the back off and then you can use a burnishing tool to go over it, and then you peel the plastic film off the front. But actually a lot of them you just could push down with your finger and peel the plastic up. You could seal these with Mod Podge, but I decided not to do that because I'm just going to use mine for decorative purposes, and I want to be able to remove that image later and change it out for the seasons. I hope you enjoyed today's projects, and if you have a favorite, let me know in the comment section down below because I always love to know which one is your favorite. If you haven't subscribed already, I'd love for you to click that subscribe button right below the video. Thank you so much for spending time with me today. Please take care, and I'll see you guys next time.